Yeah, so part three. So I'm still listening to this sound, and this cyclical triple kind of maiden mother crone like cry, and it just seemed to go on and on, and but it almost it kind of healed me on so many different levels. It just made everything all right, and certainly the trip turned into a much more peaceful and calm, and and so in effect, I was still questioning what I was doing. What the hell am I doing on the tour? What why am I here? What's the purpose of this? And then it was like after kind of a conversation, as if I was communicating with something that was there. um it was you know the feeling, well, at one point it was clear, it was just absolute words. It went, look, all you got to do is be present. And I was just like, really, it was just too simple. It was just too simple, and but yet I was grasping the profundity of it, in the kind of in that feeling, like that I was already achieving this thing, like, but without realizing it. um as I said before, it's difficult when you're on that elevation, towards something, and you don't notice it until you end up falling, and then you realize how far you've got. You know, I was in that kind of state, because of what happened after, and it was too simple, and but yet I was grasping it, and I said, look, if I'm supposed to believe this, if it's this simple, I've just got to be present. I said, well, if that's what it is, it's that simple. Give me a sign. And then immediately I just saw the biggest shooting star. It was just unbelievable. It was undoubtedly one of the biggest I've ever seen. And then from that moment onwards, I felt reignited, re-empowered, to continue. It wasn't like I was leaving or giving up or anything like that. Because it wasn't like either it was a difficult task. I mean, I was so fit. I mean, I was up and down that tour about 20, 30 times. I'd walk someone to the gate, as if it was my front door. And I had this cat. I used to call it TC, Tor Cat. And often people would come to the tour for the first time, and they'd get out of their car up the top, and they'd be standing there, like, not really knowing which way to go. Obviously go through the gate, but where do we go? It looks really big. If you've never been before, it looks like a big place, but it's not really. Once you get used to it, and someone would see the cat, and they would go, "Let's just follow the cat." And it was like the cat had just said, "Look, follow me. I'll take you to him." And he literally took people to me. It was like having a butler. This cat, they would follow the cat. It was all psychic, and the cat would bring these people to me. And that happened several times. And that cat often used to come, and I could pet it. And I've seen tried. It was a wild cat. Nobody else could go near that cat. And things like that happened a lot. It was a phenomenal experience. Being in one place. Not being in a house. Not having all the buzzing fridge and the electricity and the appliances. It's such an experience to wake up in nature, outdoors. And the light go out of the sky and come back again. Because sometimes we have to get up, like, in the dark, and we turn on these bright lights, and it's such a shock to our system. I think it's there's this beautiful breathable kind of you know uh, uh, changeover, between dark and night, and all the color that's in between. It's such an amazing experience to have that. We're blocked off of that when we live within the four walls, and so not having a mobile phone, of course, was an amazing achievement. That went on to be about 8 years. So and I was slightly dependable on people for food, but it wasn't a problem. It never became an issue for me, and um, but it I was supported in that. It was like things came and supported me in order to for the longevity of it, you know. And and then I remember one day, uh, it was around the time of 4.5 months, and I'd met Hannah, and you know, I'd seen this girl in the apothecary, Joseph's apothecary, a few months earlier, and it was love at first sight, you know. And what was really interesting about this story was, you know, I didn't see her only that one time. I never saw her in town after that. I went back to that shop and I never saw her. Then I went on my quest. I'm on the tour, and I met this girl called Hannah, and I was basically seeing her every other day. She would always come up, and she was like every other pilgrim to me, you know, in the sense that, you know, I had in-depth conversations. People talked about their life, and I listened, and you know, it was you know, there was a little bit of healing took place with some people, and sometimes the healing was just being a good listener or whatever, you know, and making them a necklace, and you know, just connecting on some level, you know, and helping them with their journey or decisions or whatever, you know. It became just a thing, you know. And they heard a little bit about my story and so on. And so I was talking to this woman Hannah for 3 months, and there was absolutely no attraction there whatsoever. There was nothing going on in my head, and quite simply, one day she was in the tower, and she lifted up her jumper over her head, and her hair fell down, and suddenly it was like it was the girl that I'd fallen in love with at first sight, in the apothecary. And I'd been talking to this girl for 3 months, and it did not look like the same girl. Her hair seemed to be up all the time, and I think that was what it was. But and I couldn't believe it, because I was in shock. And so in a weird way, in an indirect manner, we had courted for 3 months, without either of us really realizing it. I mean, I can't say what was going on for her, whether there was any instant attraction or anything like that. But most certainly, you know, we were working up towards something, because eventually, after I realized it was the same girl, we had our first kiss at the Eggstone, you know, and there began this interesting relationship, you know, which you know, was very beautiful to start, in the sense that you know, it was, which side am I on? And when she came up, you know, was I up top, or you know, I became really good at being intuitive of possibly avoiding some people, which I didn't really ever think about too much, but also being in synchronicity to, if somebody did come to see me, to be able to get up top or walk around a particular way and really feel, you know, if somebody was on the tour looking for me, you know. Because this is how we operated once upon a time, you know, in relation to our intuition and psychic behavior, you know, because we are picking up on each other's thoughts, you know, especially if somebody's looking for you. And, you know, I think this is how we did it long before mobile phones, and it works. There's no doubt about it. Anybody that doesn't believe in it is, you know, in my opinion, you know, you just close down to it, you know. But one of the things she used to do, she played the tin whistle and the flute, and she would literally play the flute, and I would hear the sound, and then I would go towards the sound, and that was a really beautiful experience, you know. But the best part was like not meeting in a pub or within four walls, or ever having that experience, you know, of where I could actually call on her, go into town, because I was married to the hill. I couldn't leave the area of the Tor. The Chalice Well was one point, Gog and Magog was another point, and it's very rare that I actually went down there. It was only a handful of times in the whole 9 months. I always felt a little bit like maybe I was going off the tour, but you know, and there was a very odd occasion where I had to do some washing. You know, I wasn't depending on other people, and you know, the campsite was quite easy. You know, it was just like I could do my washing and off I go again, and hang out at Gog Magog. You know, that it felt like that was a day out. You know, and then there was the usual challenges and stuff like that. But it was an amazing experience to to remembering that, or having that feeling, of you know courting. And she was a virgin, so we weren't gonna make love till I was to end my quest, which would have been me a year and a day on the tour. We'd made that decision, and we spent a lot of time with each other. You know, in various ways. Just talking about life, and it was just really beautiful, because it was like she would leave, and I would have to stay, and there was all that, it was kind of partying, and then there was all that kind of, it was supposed to be a really good training ground for me, of like, never knowing when she's going to come back. And so it was always a constant surprise. And I was I haven't had 4 months of this experience of 4.5 months. I think it was at that point, where I no smoking, no drinking, no real sugar, no, it was just a really happy balanced diet, no real cooked food. It was a lot of raw. And a guy called Bang on It arrived at one point, and he used to set up a fire, and make porridge and stuff like that. And I never lit a fire. I didn't want to put my tent up, because I wanted longevity. I didn't want anybody to come one day and say you have to leave the tour. So Bang on It was a good decoy for me. People used to think that he was me, because I guess maybe in my clarity, I was giving a lot of wisdom to people. And I think when people were sent to see me, they were expecting somebody a little bit older, a little bit wiser looking, or whatever. And so Bang on It fit that picture, which was really good for me in many ways. So, but thanks to Bang, he had a little camp, and I could go down there and get warm, or have a cup of tea, and but yeah, he was also a bit of a thorn in the side, because he was a smoker, and a sugar addict, and he was always testing me, and we kind of developed a kind of a father son relationship, and yeah, it was interesting, but also beautiful. And I love that man, and but testing, yeah, probably for both of us, But I was on the tour. He used to go into town. Obviously, I didn't do that. So yeah, but it was and then at some point where Hannah used to smoke cannabis, and just one day I decided, yeah, I was gonna have a smoke. And it just turned me inside out. I don't know why I did it. Suddenly, like, I was playing the guitar. So I was playing the guitar, and then suddenly I dropped it, because I was actually thinking. And it was at that point where it just dawned on me, like, that, wow, I'd stopped thinking. The internal dialogue had just disintegrated to naught, to nothing. There was nothing going on. I was present. I was completely and absolutely present. And then suddenly I was thinking again, just one smoke of tobacco and cannabis, and it just turned me inside out, became really paranoid, and it was a horrible experience. And you think that I would just stop there. But that was interesting, you see, because that was the end of heaven and the beginning of hell. And that was the experience that I was having. Without realizing it, I was suddenly now, like I said to you, um, starting to realize how far I'd come, and how clear I'd got, and some of the magical things and synchronicities, and the just the all round feeling of running in a conscious way, in Christ consciousness, perhaps, in all those kinds of things that you read and hear, and really healing lots of people as well, really feeling like I this is who I am, and it was a powerful experience to be that present, just be completely in the middle of something beautiful, and then for it all to be thrown away, boom, just like that. And then I had another smoke a few days later. I'm going down into the woods, and I break my ankle. It was out like that. I'm walking around on that, and it was really difficult. I swallowed a filling. I refused to go to the dentist. All these things, occurred where every synchronicity went out the window, and I was now having a hellish moment, which lasted for another 4.5 months. So part four coming at you sometime soon.